The following video has got absolutely everything you need to know for Game Week 37. Okay, so as we do with all of these videos, I'm going to start off by going through the expected points, the top players for expected points by position, starting off with the goalkeepers and defenders. And it's important to note that this is based on Draft Hound's predicted lineup. So the players that appear potentially from Man City on this list are the ones that Draft Hound predict to start. There may be some that are in here that might not start, and there may be some that are not in here that will. So top of the list for goalkeepers is Ederson. Obviously, he probably has the strongest double game week, certainly defensively anyway. Man City seem to be, I'd say they're the best team defensively in the league. They are conceding goals, but I think their expected goals conceded is probably the least, which is why you're seeing Man City players top these lists. Steals in second place, De Gea in third, and Kepa in fourth. So the four goalkeepers with the double game week making up the top four. Interesting thing about Kepa, Mendy started at the weekend against Forest. Obviously Chelsea lost that game. Is he going to start again, or is Kepa going to take his place again? Who knows? I think it's too difficult to decide, to be honest. Stones, Laporte, Dalot, Diaz, Estupinian, Walker, Shaw, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Dunk, and Colwill are the top defenders. Moving on now to the midfielders and forwards, and it's no surprise to see Erling Haaland top the list as the top player this game week for expected points. He's probably going to play both games. He has not missed a Man City start when he's been fit. The only time he's been benched is when he's been an injury doubt. So if he gets through the Madrid game unscathed, I think he's going to start both of the double game week fixtures. Kevin De Bruyne is the top midfielder. Again, to be taken with a pinch of salt with the Madrid game mixed in. Is he going to play both the games of the double? Draft Time predict him too, so he's got the top expected points for a midfielder. Bruno Fernandes, who arguably I prefer just because of the surety of his starts. He's on 12, very close to Kevin De Bruyne. Mahrez on 11.5, Foden 10.4, Antony, Mitoma, McAllister. Then following on from Haaland for the forwards, we've got Martial, who's a bit of an interesting one. Is he going to play both of the double game week fixtures? I don't know, but he's a nice option if he does. And Enciso, Ferguson, Havertz, Kane, Wilson, and Isak top the forwards. On now then to the goal scoring and goal involvement odds. Given he's got the top expected points for the game week, it's no surprise to see Erling Haaland topping both of these lists. I know he's had some decent double game weeks of recent, but I don't remember seeing him quite as high as 87% chance to score a goal this game week and 91% chance of a goal or an assist in goal involvement, which is just, it's absolutely crazy. And I think it's really hard to ignore him as a captaincy option. If you've got your triple captainship left as well, I think he's a great shout for that. Martial, Fernandes, Ferguson, Mahrez, and Antony round out the goal scoring odds list. And then goal involvement, De Bruyne, Fernandes, Martial, Mahrez, Mitoma, and Antony top that list. All right, clean sheet odds next. I guess based on the expected points, it's no surprise to see City topping that list. They got a 55% chance of a clean sheet against Chelsea. Obviously, it's really good. And 41% chance against Brighton. I think the Brighton one's probably a bit over-egged and maybe hasn't had the Arsenal fixture factored into that for like Brighton's underlying numbers. I think Brighton have got a good chance of scoring against City. Although I do think City will win the game. Newcastle, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Tottenham. And then we've got Man United, who have a 40% odds of a clean sheet away against Bournemouth. And then only 26 against Chelsea. I think Man United v Chelsea is the most 0-0 fixture in Premier League history. You can quote me in the comments if I'm wrong on that one. So maybe those 26% clean sheet odds could be a bit different if you apply those sorts of rules to it. So yeah, I'd consider that maybe a bit more likely than 26%. Brighton have got 50% against Southampton at home, which I'm in agreement with, and only 13% against City, which I think is fair enough. You can almost count really. I know they can score against City, but defensively, I think you can really count it as a single game week for Brighton and take what you can get out of that Man City game if you've got any, if you've got the likes of Steele or Estupinian in your team. Everton, Fulham, and Wolves top out the teams with above 30%. Usually, I don't like going near defences with below 30% clean sheet odds. So anyone's on the right, basically, I don't fancy. Captaincy then, and for me, it's a pretty obvious one. Erling Haaland by far tops the list in terms of expected points. His goal involvement and goal scoring odds are absolutely off the chain. And I think this is a week where you've really just got to go for him. I don't think you can afford to be cheeky and different. I think we'll wait and see what happens in the Madrid fixture. You know, who knows what his fitness is going to be coming out of that. I'm recording this on Monday morning before, well, 2 days before that football game. So, yeah, we'll see what happens on that one. But he does top the list for expected points. De Bruyne, Fernandes, Mahrez, and Foden round out the top 5. I think the only one, really, that I can back to play both of the games is Fernandes on that list. So that means your 2 captaincies. Well, obviously Rashford as well. He's not been mentioned at all in this video. But he's currently not back to play. So, yeah, one to think about on Rashford. If he is deemed to be fit, maybe he's an alternative. But I don't think so. Fernandes is the top Man United asset as it stands. Just a quick look at the fixtures. There's not much to go through now, given it's quite emotional, isn't it? Only 2 game weeks left of the season. It feels like it's absolutely flown by, and well, partly because I've been making these YouTube videos for you guys and just having so much fun doing so, really. So for game week 37, we've got 4 teams with a double game week. So Brighton, Chelsea, Man City, and Man United have their double. Brighton, the double's decent. Southampton, Man City. I don't think defensively they'll keep a clean sheet against Man City, but they could well score in both of the games, given, you know, Man City have been shipping goals. Man City and Man United for Chelsea, I mean, I'm not interested in that one bit. In fact, I'm thinking of selling Kepa, and you can find out who for later in the video. Man City, we've got Chelsea and Brighton. I think that's a lovely double. The question is with Man City is who's going to play both of those games. And Man United, I think, is the strongest. So Bournemouth and Chelsea is their double. I think it's a great couple of fixtures, and more importantly, there are players from Man United that you can pretty much back to play both games of the double. We'll see what happens with Rashford and his fitness, but the likes of Bruno, Shaw, De Gea, you know, Lindelof, he's probably going to play both of the double games. Casemiro, although you're not going to be picking him in FPL. They've at least got players that are nailed to start, whereas Man City, they don't really have that. And then game week 38, the final game week of the season. Who knows what's going to happen there? Man City might have the title wrapped up by game week 37, so Pep Roulette's going to go absolutely mental. We'll see what happens in this double game week, I think, before drawing any conclusions and making any decisions for 38. So I've got a few players now that I think are top priority to try and bring into your team. Firstly, and it's certainly one that relates to me as well, as a Kepa owner, who's just been dropped, by the way, for Chelsea. David De Gea, I think, is the strongest goalkeeper for the remainder of the season. He's on course. In fact, I think he might have already wrapped up the Golden Glove, given I don't think teams have now enough fixtures to catch up with him. I think Nick Pope is in second place, and he's 3 clean sheets behind De Gea. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. And Nick Pope's only got 2 games to go. So I don't feel like, you know, it's possible for De Gea to lose that award. We'll see, though. But just genuinely, Man United seems to be doing well defensively. Varane's back in the team, which I think only serves to make them stronger. But even Lindelof and Shaw were a decent defensive partnership, and it was only really down to individual sort of mistakes that they were conceding goals. As a collective, they were defending really well and keeping things. You know, there's a difference between defending well and actually keeping clean sheets, in my opinion. Like, Man City are a prime example where they've conceded low XG chances because maybe their team haven't been like properly going in to get that last-ditch block, or their goalkeeper hasn't been quite performing well enough to save some of those shots. Obviously, I know Man United have conceded goals due to goalkeeper error, but I feel like De Gea is a really, really good option. He's got the clean sheets to back up, as well as he's averaging 2.5 saves per game, which is more than twice as many as Ederson is. So, obviously, Ederson's the alternative. He's the top goalkeeper for expected points in 37. But De Gea, you know, he's got both the saves and the clean sheets going for him. I think he's the best goalkeeper for game week 37 and beyond. Bruno Fernandes is my next transfer target, with Rashford being an injury doubt. Obviously, I'd say Rashford is the best Man United player in the game, but because he's an injury doubt, I think you've got to say Bruno Fernandes is the next best option. He's absolutely nailed to start. He's been playing for Man United this season, even when he's been injured. So you've got to think, unless something serious happens, for game week 37 and 38, he's going to start all 3 of those fixtures. And for me, it's almost wrapped up, but it's not sure. Man United still have something to play for. They're still playing for the top 4, and I think both games in 37, they're going to be gunning it for the win. Bournemouth is a game they need to win, and then Chelsea, I mean, if a Man United player can't get themselves up for Chelsea, I don't know what they're up to, really. So I feel like they're going to be up for the rest of the games of the season. There's no beach mentality with Man United at the moment. And yeah, Bruno, he's on the corners, he's on the set pieces, free kicks, and the penalties. And his underlying numbers at the start of the season, they were really poor because he was playing a much deeper role, and they're okay now. 0.66 expected returns per night is actually really good. But I feel like from now looking back to the World Cup, when he's played in that more advanced position for Man United, those numbers are probably around 0.7, 0.8. So yeah, just want to consider. I think he's been performing at a really high level ever since the World Cup, and he's absolutely nailed to play all of the fixtures. So Bruno Fernandes is a top transfer target of mine for this game week. Now this one isn't necessarily a player, it's more of a team-specific thing. But with Man City having Madrid midweek, right, before game week 37, they're going to put a strong team out for that game. No doubt about it, a strong team. They're going to rotate. They have to rotate at the weekend because they can't play the same team, you know, midweek, weekend, midweek. That's not going to happen. So there's going to be a lot of rotation expected in game week 37. And as I said, the only two players I think you can back to start all the games are possibly Rodri, but he's not an FPL option. Haaland, he hasn't missed a Man City game that he's been fit for. So as long as he doesn't get injured in midweek or 37, he's going to, in my opinion, at least start all the games. And Ederson. And Ederson has been the most frustrating player to own in FPL at the moment. So, you know, he's not been making, apart from this weekend, he finally got you guys a clean sheet that own him. But he also doesn't make saves, so there's really no points. You know, the points potential for Ederson is, it can be frustratingly low. And then the rest of the Man City team, I think it's all up for grabs really in terms of rotation. So for me, I know they've got an attractive double, but can you really back any of these Man City players to play both the games? And even if like, a player does start both, they've got to get limited minutes. They're not going to play two lots of 90 minutes. So for me, I'm just really sort of being cautious about Man City players, trying to pass on that knowledge to you. Obviously, you can make your own predictions about what the teams are going to be, but from my personal perspective, I just think there's going to be a lot of rotation and it's too risky. And that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like rating on the video and subscribe if you're new around here to the Golden Goal channel below. Let me know in the comments what you think of some of my predictions in terms of players to buy and Man City avoidance, etc. I'd like to know what you think about that. And if you're going to go different from Haaland as captain. I don't think when he's got a double game week like he does, with the points potential that he does, you can really go any different this week. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.